Alright. Disclaimer here. We are back today, and today is Friday the 18th of August, and we are up $2,000. Just a little bit over 2,000. So let's get into today's recap. Took 138 trades today with a volume of 1.5 million. Today we had a very poor gap scanner, so I was really being conservative at the very beginning of the day. I didn't want to go more than $200 in the red. If I did, I would have called it, because there was nothing gapping. There was like three, four stocks I was three. I think there was like three stocks that I was like actually looking at to possibly make a move, but they were all gapping up like 15%, less than 20%. Um, so very poor gapper quality today, which on a Friday isn't uncommon, but I did want to make sure that I was playing it safe until we got like a wild card on the high day scan. So that's exactly what my game plan was. I was going to keep low size um until something proved itself on the high day scan, because the gap scan was not it this morning. Profit factor of almost 2.4 today, very nice. Almost 2 to 1 risk reward ratio with 57% accuracy. So seeing I was very conservative today with the trades I took. Um, Basically I had the higher accuracies because of how conservative I was. And then largest gain today 806 or 820, and then largest loss 265. This is once the stuff started working for me, I started sizing up, getting back to normal size, and then that's when these happened. This obviously didn't happen at the very beginning. But yeah, let's get into today's video here. So starting on the day off on NEPT, which was one of our gappers, I was watching it for a break of 26, which was the pre-market high. So we're watching 26 here at the open. It starts breaking 25.50, so I'm looking to take a starter size position here on the break of 25.50. Looking for 26. There we go. Watching 26. Look how small this share size is. Typically, I'd use at least 2,500 shares here on a 26-cent stock. Um, so yeah, I'm being a lot more conservative here at the open, making sure that I'm getting green. I'm getting a cushion on a day like this where there wasn't that much opportunity. So here it's squeezing, and taking it off there at 27.40 for a 2-cent winner. And then as I have that profit, I sized up to 2,700 or 2,500 shares, looking for this micro pullback off of 27.50, trying to see if we can get 27.50 again. I take it off pretty fast, break even. Big buyer there at 27, so I go ahead and pop back in. I think I size up aggressively here. Yeah, sizing up here as that big buyer's holding 7,500 shares. And my risk is basically zero. That big buyer, I have the liquidity to sell into it if I need to. So my risk on this trade is legitimately zero. Unless the thing somehow, this order moves and we somehow get like a 2-cent drop, that's my only risk, which doesn't happen too often. But if that order doesn't get pulled, then my risk is zero on the trade. So I'm comfortable holding this until we get the breakdown of the buyer, if it does happen. There's a small seller there at 27.40, but it does seem to push us back, and I see this seller start to get sold into. So I sell my position before it cracks. So risk zero on that. It doesn't end up breaking. It actually ends up going higher. But the reason why I took my position off was because the seller was getting sold into, and 7,500 shares. I don't want to cash a 2-cent loss this early into the day on a day where nothing's gapping. So the main focus of this early opening of the day was just keeping my risk management in control, making sure I don't take any big losses. So here, getting in as that high day breakout happens, watching 29, taking 1 cent profit there. Getting back in for break of 29, out at 29.30. Small scalps there. Getting up 50 on the day. And then here, got in high there at 29.50. And it's not exactly holding. It's holding 29 for now, so I'm still in. And then look at that 2 cent flush right there. So out there at 28.20 for a 1 cent loss. Let's see. Take a couple more small trades on this one. This one wasn't the main one today though. Believe. This one actually no, this one was decent at the open. Never mind. We'll keep watching it. So I'm still watching here 29, see if it wants to curl back up, if this is just a 1 minute pullback, or if it wants to be a little bit longer. There's a seller there at 29, but it's breaking, so I'm adding a little bit early on that add. So I was in 2,500 shares, then added another 5,000. But this seller only broke down from 900 to 600, so a little bit early on that ad, on that second ad at least. So here, this is where I'm getting a little uncomfy holding that big size. And I take it off at 28.50 as that thing looks like it's going to break. So I end up going back to flat on the day on that trade. 28.50 looks like it's kind of holding. I might get back in here. Small size. Let's see. Yep, getting back in here as 28.50 holds. And then watching 29. This time, if it does look like it's going to break, I will add again. Yep, adding here as we get that break. There's 29.20, 29.40. Can we get 29.60 high day break? There it is. Taking some off as we get the high day break. And then having to take a lot of it off for almost break even though at 29.12. Big buyer at 29 again, so I'm hopping back in. See that big buyer at 29, watching it. Getting out a little bit early there. And back in. Is it going to hold 29? Getting some red on the tape. Then looks like it's starting to break down, so I'm out at 29 for a flat trade. Buyer at 28.50, but also selling pressure at 28.53. So waiting, seeing if it really does want to hold 28.50. Back down to 28. Here I expect a break. There's 28 breaking. Let's see. Oh yeah. So ACRX. This one looked like it was gonna break 1 right here. So I hop in, I believe, as we get some more green on the tape. Yeah, right there's some burst of green. I try and get in. And here it shows it hit 106 on the chart. I never saw it. So in my mind, it still needs to break 1. But I'm in at 1 with 2,500. And it flushes down there to 96, with 95 being right there. So 5 cent down on the bid. So here I'm kind of waiting. Okay, does it actually want to come down? There's a big buyer at 90 or 95, so possibly I can get a second entry down there and like look to sell break even around 97. That's what I'm thinking right now. And then let's see. This one's a bit of a longer trade as I wait for that 95 to see if it's holding. I do add at 95.50. Brings my average to 97.70. And that buyer at 95 is still holding. So I'm watching 97. This is actually a longer trade than I thought. Okay. Basically, that buyer at 95 ended up breaking, so I got out at 95 as it was breaking. Taking the $137 loss. Back down on the day. And let's see here. Taking a small size scalp on CRKN, testing the waters on it. Not really doing anything major. Small red on it. Then NEPT starts making a move for 29.90 again, so I'm back in 10,000 shares for break of 30. There's 31. Nice trade to get us back to green on the day. And I'm really clicking with NEPT, so I'm starting to get more aggressive on it. You'll see me start to use 5,000, 10,000 shares. Big buyer there at 31, so I'm adding. Looking for 32 break. Taking it off at 31.30 as it doesn't want to hold high as 32s or high 31s. Let's see. So I'm basically playing this one for half pennies and whole pennies. Getting in around the whole penny levels, like 31, and then adding as it gets closer to 31.50. And then adding again as it gets closer to 32. So there I took it off at 31.40. Back in for the break of 32. Buyer there at 31.87. Selling into that buyer as it breaks. Watching 32 to get back in 31.80. Watching that seller at 32. It's not really going right away, so I'm out for a small profit. I really wanted to see 32 there, but we weren't getting it, so back out. Now, is it going to hold high 31s, or is it going to give us a dip back down to 31 and 32, or 30? Get that big buyer at 31.50, getting in with a risk of 0. Getting back out as we see that seller start, or that buyer start to get sold into. It's kind of holding. There's a big seller on the ask as well, so we'll see which one breaks. Breaks down, 31, watching 31. Is it going to hold? No. We'll watch this dip. When's this? Okay, so right here. This is a typical pattern of a stock that just started flushing. You'll see this big seller on the ask. Here's one of them, but you'll see there's this main, oh, just for a second there, it flashed to, just for a second, if you pause it, there was a 730 here, just for a second. But, I didn't see that one when I was live trading, but I saw it just now. But, as this thing is breaking 31, there's going to be a seller on the ask. See this big seller? Watch this big seller as the price comes down on the bid and the ask. So as it breaks 31, watch how this seller kind of follows the price down. I'll do quick pauses and unpauses. So see how that seller is getting bought as the price is breaking below 31. So it went from let's see, it went from, all right, there we go. So watching as it comes back down, 31, and then quickly here, we have that big seller forming, and then I want to, how do I slow this down? I think 0.5. Okay, right here, I'll go 0.25. So watching this big seller, right? It's coming down, we just broke 31, and we're pulling back. This is where we want to dip buy. But we don't want to dip buy until we know where it's going to bounce. And watching this level 2 here, you'll see on the ask that 280 is going to slowly come down, or quite quickly in real time, but it comes down to 181, and the price isn't really like flushing down to 29 cents here. It's kind of sticking around here. And then as that 181 starts to break, I'm getting in a starter here, and you'll watch here. 5,000 shares in there at 30.44. And as this price is coming back up, let's see. Okay, wait. Getting 10,000 shares there. Yeah, so right there, I took 10,000 shares, but then it wasn't going up right away. So I expected the bounce at 30.50 to back up to 31. So I'm in 10,000 shares. It wasn't bouncing right away, so I took off half at 30 flat, and then another half out at 30. Yeah, still at 30 flat. So I took 3/4 off at 30, and then it does end up bouncing to 31. So I'm gonna be adding back here probably. Yeah, adding back at 30.30, and then adding at 31 as it reclaims. So took a small loss and then taking a gain to kind of balance it out. So as it breaks back over 31, looking to get aggressive. Because it tried dipping down there and it's holding now. So watching 32 for the break. 10,000 shares there. In at 31. Selling at 32, 33. Big seller there at 32.50. And we'll see if it wants to get above 33. Watching the seller at 33. It's breaking. Getting out some more and taking off the rest there at 33.50 as it finally breaks. So yeah, I get another $100 on Nept on this last little move, right there, and that's about it on Nept. 567 is where I ended on Nept. Just to make sure this video doesn't get too long. Yeah, okay, there we go. Whoops, spoiled it a little bit. Let's see. IONM starts moving up rapidly, and that's only been trading in the past couple days. IONM, it was priced at 44, and now it's hitting 50, all in one candle. Volume is still a little bit light, so I'm being a little cautious. Took one starter share size trade, made $33 on it, so about 2 cents on that starter size, which is great for a 50-cent stock. Now I'm watching this break of 50. And at this point, my daily goal for today was like 200, 400. I wasn't expecting much because of how bad the gap scanner was. Like, it was ridiculously bad. So I had my expectations for today was if I can make 200 today, if I can make 400, if I can not go deep in the red, if basically these were all my goals. I just have a solid small green day with where the discipline is in control, and if it's gonna be a red day, have it be $100. Don't lose the bank over a day where you know nothing's really happening. But we've already exceeded those expectations, so we can continue to push it now, because now the day is kind of proving itself where the gap scanner, yeah, it wasn't that great, but we do have stocks in play, and because the gap scanner wasn't great, that means that whatever is in play, whatever is hitting high a day, is going to have all eyes on it because there's no other stocks that anybody could possibly be watching because there's no other gappers. On days where you have a lot of gappers, it gets attention, it gets very spread, so sometimes you'll have something moving, but it ends up fizzling out. So on days where there's very little gappers, the high a day stocks prove to be very nice. So watching here as this pulls back, getting in on the pullback, small size still testing out the waters because it does have a 1 cent spread. And then we'll look to add as it gets that break of 50. Adding closer to 50 here, 49.70. Watching that 50 seller, it's starting to get sold into, so adding. Well, there's 53, 52, 53. Look at that. Taking it off at 53. On this last little bit, I think I take off for a loss at 48. Yeah. So a 3 cent breakout there, very nice. Watching it as it comes back down. Is it going to break back below 48? Or is it going to hold? It's holding. A little bit of a high fill there, 49.20. So because of the high fill, I'm not exactly going to add to this trade if it does work out. So I take it off at 48. Okay. taking the 1 cent loss. See that I'm pointing out there, me in the past is pointing out that big seller at 50. You'll see my mouse go over it. Watch. So right here, I'm like, okay, there's a big seller there at 50. It's bringing it down to 45, but it is snapping back up to 48. This has a pretty nice bottoming tail wick. It's just now hovering above VWAP and 90 MA on the 1 minute chart. I take a quick trade over here on AVTX. Nothing special. Just looking for the retest of VWAP. It's kind of curling up on the 5 minute chart. It's like making a U shape. So I'm just watching 16, see if anything special happens. Don't really get anything. It does end up breaking, but I'm not in it for the breaks, so nothing really there. Alright, and then as that ABTX trade kind of finishes, IONM starts setting up for the break of 48. And remember, we still have that big seller at 50, so I'm not being too aggressive yet, because I could expect a 1 to 2 cent flush to be normal. But then there we get a big buyer there at 48, so I'm nailing the buy button in 10,000 shares. Watching 51, 52. Remember, high day is 53 at this point. And oh yeah, specifically on IONM, what I was noticing was my market orders were giving me pretty bad fills. And it's not uncommon for a stock that has a bit of a spread where the market orders kind of fill you just at the bid for sells and at the ask for buys. So because of this, I started using limit orders just for IONM specifically. For every other ticker today, I traded market orders, but IONM, I was using market orders to get in, and I was selling the ask to get out. And then if I was bailing, I was selling market. But for IONM, I was using sell the ask orders as it was squeezing because it was filling me. Like, look at this 3 cent spread right here. If I send out a market order, I'm gonna get filled for a loss at 48 when I'm in at 48.80. But if I put a small size order out to sell a little bit of my position at 51, I'll get filled. So that's what I was doing, getting small little bits filled at the ask at 51. And that's what was working for me. So I was adjusting, I was adapting to the stock that I was trading. Market orders weren't really working on this one, so I gave limit orders a try, and I was getting filled on the ask consistently. So I was like, you know what, it's working. Let me go ahead and keep on selling at ask. And then there I bailed out for a small loss in the rest of my position using market order. Right there, that seller is getting bought through, so I'm getting in small size, not quite big size yet, getting out for break even. But yeah, so being adaptable is a key thing to day trading, because oh, this is a nice trade right here. But yeah, being adaptable, being willing to change how you execute a little bit if the stock is not really working with your type of execution patterns. So selling the ask is what I was doing mostly on IONM, and that's what ended up being very nice today. So here, this dips down. Let's go ahead and watch this dip here. There's a seller at 47 that brings it down. And that seller starts to get bought into. So I'm buying into that seller because it's getting bought into. 46.99 fill. And I think I add one more time. Or no, that was a break even. But then this next one getting filled there at 46.98. And it's instantly popping up with a buyer there at 49.33. So I can already sell for a 2.5 cent gain. No problem on the bid. With 2,500 shares. That's exactly what I did. I took it off 2 cents and then waiting for the next dip, seeing if it wants to hold 49, 40, 50. Because we are getting a little bit of choppiness here. And the volume isn't that great on this one. It's really not that great yet. So people haven't really realized that this one's moving yet. So I'm kind of waiting. I'm happy that I was able to make 300 on it already. But that last candle, high volume red candle, but the reason it was high volume was because of that bullish volume that was trying to break 47. So a lot of that volume was that bullish volume that buys on the ask. So this candle isn't exactly indicative of what the actual volume was. A lot of those orders were buy orders at 47. So watching here, as it comes back over 49, we have a little bit of a buy wall there at 49. There's 50. 51 high the last candle. There we go, getting a starter at 50. Watching. There's 51, adding as we get 51 because I want to see this break, and we have high day at 53, so I'm getting a little more aggressive here as volume comes in. There's 52, selling on the ask. Can we get filled at 52? Getting filled at 52, half out at 52. Now watching 53 for the high day break. Taking another half off, watching 53, taking the rest out at 52. So watching now, is it going to hold 50? It's dipping below 50, but does it reclaim? Does it reclaim here? It's reclaiming. Are you getting back in? No, because the spread's a little bit wide right now. 49 is breaking. So does it reclaim 50? It's holding. There's 49 in at 49. 5,000 shares watching 50. We can afford to hold this one a little bit longer. Oh, I guess I take it off at 49.50, huh? I should have held that one a little bit longer because the worst I would have sold it for was break even at 49. Yeah, I should have held that one longer. Yeah, this one's still moving a little slow though. Still moving a little slow with the volume that we have on it. Getting back in. A little bit of a high fill there. 50-40. Taking it off for a small loss at 50. Let's fast forward a little bit. There we go. It starts breaking out towards 55. Buyer, seller at 55 does a break. Adding. Watching 55. Taking it off as it breaks. There we go. Up 1,000 on the day now. And let me go ahead and see where the big loser and the big gain are on the day. Okay, it looks like the big loser is coming up right here. So yeah, here we have 66 as our halt level. Watching it as it gets closer. There's 60 now. So as we're approaching the halt level, getting a little bit more aggressive, watching 68. So clearly a seller at 60. Trying to get out at 59, got out. Okay. So it just broke 60 up to 62, but I wasn't able to capitalize on it. And then here, getting back in here and got in 5,000 shares at 60, and we had just broke 60. 10,000 shares now as it reclaimed 60 for a microsecond and then back below 59. I think I have to cut it here. Yeah, cutting it there at 58 as it comes down. So taking a $200 loss there. That was the biggest loss of the day. Right there, I was kind of considering leaving. The day is already better than expected, and that was a pretty significant portion of my day. 20% of my day just gone right there. So I was considering leaving. I'm glad I stayed. The reason I stayed is because it's just it was no really real reason to leave. I was still printing money on this. It's not like I constantly losing. It was just one loss that I accidentally caught. Yeah. It wasn't like an out of the ordinary loss. It wasn't like this thing flushed down to 40 or like 45 and I lost like 10 cents a share. That would make me want to quit the day. But it was just a simple 2-cent loss, so nothing really big there. And then okay, this thing ends up, so it came down and we end up getting a nice curl back up through highs for the break towards the halt level up. And here there's a seller at 65 watching. I'm in at 59. That's 6 cents, 7 cents on this price stock. That's great. Still selling a little bit, poor partial sells, and there we go, selling the rest out at 65. Letting it pull back, watching it now for the next breakout. So taking a starter here at 63, I can afford to take larger starters now because I'm up so much in the day. So taking a larger starter at 5,000 shares. Big buyers there at 30 or 63. Now adding to the position as we get 64, wanting to see 65, adding at 65. Now watching 66, 65, 60 is the high of day. So watching 65 break. It's breaking 65. Is it gonna? It's kind of refilling. Is it gonna break? It's not breaking. Taking some off. Taking the rest out at 64. A little bit out at 63.50. So that one didn't go, but we're waiting for the next pullback. Taking another starter there at 63.50. It's not really flushing, so as it holds high, I'm taking these high fills because it's holding. And using 63 as my get out of jail. Is it going to break 63 here? It's starting to break a little bit. Going to get out there as it kind of breaks. It doesn't fully break, but it did fake me out a little bit. But then there it goes down to 60. 63 has a big seller now. But it's back over 63, so I noticed that. I get back in, small size. Down 2 cents on the bids. There's some sort of weird level 2 action here. Usually they're ordered by the share size on the bid and the ask. But that one had like a in-between share size number. Like it didn't go 154, 144, 10, 8. So it's kind of hard to see what's going on. And that ends up flushing down to 61, so I get out for a 2 cent loss. Ends up going lower. Now we're retesting the 9 EMA, so I go ahead and punch a nice size order there at 97 or 57. Holding this one a little bit longer, give me a chance. See if it wants to hold 50 or 56. Where does it want to bounce? Adding down there at 56. And taking it off at 55.50 as it comes down further. Nice little paper cut as well. Getting back in as 55.50 holds. Now adding aggressively as 57 breaks. Should be adding there at 57. Don't know why it didn't. Yeah, it was a missed opportunity to add there at 57. Taking it off at 57. Big seller. Watching it. I know this video is getting a little long, so I'll end it shortly. Just have a couple more trades to go through and then we'll be done. This thing comes back up. One more last time. Yeah. Just watching this, it's retesting 58 and 59, so I'm getting back in 58. Watching 59 for an ad. Because we want to see this retest of 60. Is it going to break 59.90? It's not, so I'm taking it off break even. Well, there's always a chance to get back in. So watching it hold 58. Is it going to hold? It's holding. So it held 58 there. Is it going to hold 59? You see 59 on the ask again. So it's retesting 58. It's holding. Okay. It's testing 58. Is it going to break and then reclaim? So right there, get that big burst of green on the time and sales. And I don't know if you noticed it, but on the bids looked like they were getting sold into, and all of a sudden they got refilled just a little bit. It wasn't very much. It wasn't a big refill, but they did get refilled where these were like at 10 and 20, and now they're at 40 and 40 again. So taking it there, 5,000 shares at 58. Looking to add at 59 as it comes back up. So adding aggressively here at 59 and at 58.50 average. Watching 60 here for another add. Do I add at 60? No, I don't remember. This was the big trade of the day, right here. So there it goes, breaks up all the way up to 62, taking a quarter off at 62. Selling on the ask here, by the way. It's limit orders at the ask, taking it off at 62 as it breaks through. There we go, there's 63. Watching, there's 64. 66 is high at day, so I'm watching for another add back. Watching 64, it's holding, so I'm adding at 64, up to 10,000 shares. Watching 65, there's 66, there's 68. Taking it off at 68, 66. It's taking some more off at 68. You'll see my orders out on the ask. They're getting filled slowly, taking them off, and then watching 68 break. There's 69, watching 69, to putting the order out to sell at 69. Taking another half off at 68.50. There's 69, there's 70 right there on the ask. Taking it off at 69. And then it doesn't look like it's holding up, so I took the rest off at 68. Big seller comes in there at 67, bringing it all the way down to 66. And yeah, that was the highlight of the day. And then the rest of the day is just making another $100. The last 40 minutes of this recording is just making another $100 to break over 2,000. Slowly doing it, and then I gave back 100 off the top. So ending the day there at 24, and then like 100, I think 130 off the top. So not bad. Very nice day. Great way to end the week, and I'm super proud of my discipline these last 2 days as I sized down and brought my max loss down. And it just feels more comfortable trading that way. It's really good for my mental, my emotions, to have that less of a red day on the red days. Where I mean, I could lose $250 and be fine, completely fine. And if that's my max loss red day, that's totally fine by me. I mean, when I lose $1,000, it hurts a little bit. That's what my old max loss used to be at. So having it where my max loss is a number where I could bat an eye and I wouldn't even know the money is gone from my account. I think that's better for me because it'll mean that on red days I won't get emotional. It's not like I'm down. It's not the end of the world. I can make that back in a couple trades on the next day. So that's it for today. Going into next week, we're going to keep with that small size. We're going to keep that $250 max loss, stick to it, and the only reason we'd ever break it is if we got, like we did yesterday, is because of that A++ setup for me. So only way I'll ever break max loss now is if I have an A++ setup, and if I'm not having an A++ setup, if I hit max loss, it's the end of the day because I'm taking small size to get to that max loss. I'm not sizing up on anything until I'm green on the day. So that means if I'm taking max loss day at $250, it means that I took a 25 cents worth of loss on 1,000 shares. And if I'm losing 25 cents a share collectively over the stocks that I traded, then like without making anything, then obviously I'm not clicking with any of the stocks that day. So that's the way I'm looking at it. If I'm down 25 cents a share without any sort of like profits to make up for it, then obviously I'm not clicking. There's something wrong with me that day, so there's no reason to keep going. So that's how I'm approaching the risk management these last couple days, and that's how I want to continue doing it because I think that's kind of what was missing from my profitability these last couple months. My risk management has kind of been whack. I have much more red days and much bigger red days than any other profitable trader I know. So I'd like to bring that number down. I'd like to have 3-4 green days to every 1 red day. And then I'd also like to have my red days be minuscule where my green days just eat up the red days. So a little bit of a longer recap. Sorry about that. There was surprising amount of action going on today with IONM and NEPT. Those are the main two we traded. A couple small losers, small winners on other stocks, but overall, those are the two best ones. And that's it. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Yeah, and we'll see what happens on Monday. All right, take care.